Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman as the woman buys a new bus pass. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now the full test will begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, as the recording is not played twice. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, madam. How can I help you?
Hi there. My name's Louise. I need to get a new bus pass.
Do you know which zones you'll need it for?
Yes. Zones 1, 2 and 3.
That's fine. Now, have you had a bus pass before?
Yes. I've had one for the last 6 months and it expired today.
That's good. I won't need to take your details then. I'll need to confirm some information though.
That's fine.
Can you let me know your postcode?
It's NW13 4SG.
And can you let me know the number of the house at that postcode?
It's number 13.
I've got your records here. It says that we should contact you on your mobile phone. Is that still right?
I'd like to change that actually to email. I've not changed it, so you should have my current address.
Let's see. Is it louisekay@uknet.com?
That's right.
Okay, I've made a note of that.
I won't get extra spam, will I?
No, don't worry. Our data policy specifies that we can't pass on your information to anyone or contact you without good reason.
Good. Thank you.
Now, on your old bus pass, there was no photo. The new one will be a photo card. Do you have a photo with you?
No, I don't. I didn't know that I would need it.
That's okay. We put the requirement on the website, but of course most people don't see it. I can take it here if you like. Just look at this screen.
Like this?
That's right. Now keep still. Okay, that's done.
By the way, is the price still £100?
I'm afraid not. The price went up by 5%. It's still pretty good value though.
Yes, that's fine.
So here's your new pass and here's a new holder. I saw that your old one had got a bit worn.
Yes, it had. Thanks very much. The old one had gotten a bit beaten up, being at the bottom of my bag all the time.
One more thing. I noticed there was no signature on the back of your old bus pass. It isn't valid without it, so you'd better do that now to your new one.
Oh, I didn't know that either. I'll do it now. There you are.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, there is actually. You know that all the bus routes have been reorganised recently.
Yes?
Well, I'm a bit confused. Could you briefly explain some of the changes?
Of course. First of all, there is Route 1. That's the one that goes in the direction of the town hospital when it goes north and the university when it goes south. There are 2 bus stops where you can get on this. To go north, you need to find bus stop Q. That's on Alton Road, just outside the town hall. To go south towards the university, then find bus stop P, which is also on Alton Road, outside the cinema.
That's useful for me, as I study at the university. Now I live in West Howe. What will I need to do to get a Route 1 bus?
The best way is to go to the town centre and change. You'll need to take Route 3. Take the bus from the centre of West Howe and get off at the town centre at bus stop G. That's outside Westgate Shopping Centre. Then, to get back to West Howe, you'll need to go back to Westgate Shopping Centre and find bus stop H, opposite bus stop G.
Thanks. Finally, I need to know how to get to the Arrowdown Sports Centre. I was given a membership there, and so I'll be going there quite often too.
First of all, you need to come to the centre of town as you would normally. Then, to get to that sports centre, you'll need to go to the town centre post office. The buses for the Arrowdown Centre are from bus stop A. To get back, take the bus from outside the sports centre and get off at bus stop C in the town centre.
Thanks for that. Now, a friend told me that I can get discounts using my bus pass. He said that I can get cheaper cinema tickets and train tickets with it.
I'm afraid not with the cinema, but you'll get a 15% discount on local train services. There are other possibilities as well. The local football club gives you access to the special hospitality area, although you'll need to buy a regular ticket. You can also get priority seating at the local theatre, and the local museum gives bus pass holders cheaper entry. Some of these things are restricted by availability, of course.
Well, that's a bonus.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will now hear a radio talk on agricultural regulations. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15. Could there be clearer proof of the arrogance and indifference of those who are supposed to keep our food safe than the muzzling of John Verrill? Agriculture is a business, true, and businesses have to make money. But this shows how ministers and officials put the profits of the agriculture business before the well-being of the British people. Mr. Verrill, a pharmaceutical chemist, was appointed to represent consumers on one of the many committees that advise the government on food safety. When he tried to do his job, though, and wanted to warn ministers of a danger to children's health, he was refused permission to do so. The danger comes from hormones given to cattle in the USA and some other countries to make them grow faster. They speed up the animal's development to maturity, thus making meat production more profitable. There have, however, long been fears that the hormones have horrendous effects on the people who eat them, causing diseases as serious as cancer. Once these hormones were used on British cattle too, but over 20 years ago they were banned in Europe for being too dangerous. Indeed, so concerned is the European Union that it banned imports of hormone-fed beef years ago, much to the fury of the US government, which wants to sell it all over the world. Several years ago, the USA and Canada asked the World Trade Organization to declare the ban illegal and to punish Europe for failing to lift it. The WTO, with its long record of refusing to let environmental or safety concerns interfere with trade, agreed, imposing fines of more than $120 million a year on the EU for its refusal to back down. The British government now backs the Americans, claiming that there is no proof that hormone-fed beef does any harm. This is where Mr. Verrill comes in. He is very angry with the government, especially as their claim comes out just after a Danish study shows that growth hormones are 200 times more dangerous than was previously thought. Worried by these findings, Mr. Verrill spoke to government representatives, who did nothing. Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20. Not only that, but they have not been testing beef which is imported, which, by law, they are required to do. This directly affects the British public, as about 40% of the beef British people eat comes from abroad, supposedly from countries like Brazil, which does not allow the use of growth hormones. Brazilian beef is stocked by some British supermarkets and widely used in catering. Yet, when a Brazilian farm was recently visited by EU inspectors, a large stockpile of this banned substance was found. This is not the first food scandal we have had in our country. Take the present concern over a well-known chocolate company. Several months ago, the company found out that its sweets were contaminated with a rare form of salmonella, but they did nothing about it, leaving their sweets in the shops to be bought by the unsuspecting public. It was not until 5 months later, when several children had suffered food poisoning, that the chocolate bars were removed from the shelves. It makes you wonder how many other dangerous foods have been allowed onto our plates. That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear 4 students discussing a survey that they will conduct. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi Martin, hi Rachel. Are you both waiting for us?
Hi Abby, hi Lance. Yes we are, but we've not been waiting long.
Yes, we just ordered some coffee. Hi Lance.
Hi everyone.
So we're here today to talk about our survey on electronics and communications. Rachel, you said you were going to think about some question ideas.
That's right. I've been looking at our subject of how household citizens in this country derive benefit from the digital environment. To start with, I thought we could ask about their perceptions of internet speed.
Dial-up or broadband?
Broadband, I think, Lance. Not many people in this country have dial-up anymore.
I think that's a great start, Rachel. It's very topical at the moment. What about after that?
Another important area is people's perceptions of affordability. This has a lot to do whether people have travelled to different countries and have seen the costs of services there and are therefore able to compare what they pay for here.
That's not necessarily true, Rachel. People can have perceptions of affordability without having to have travelled.
That's true, Lance. I like the idea, Rachel, but let's keep the travel part out of it. If we include that, we could create too much bias within the answers, as people who don't travel wouldn't be able to answer.
You're both right. I'll just make a note of that. Now, the next area I looked at was what people think about the possibility of changing subscriptions and switching between providers.
I thought it wasn't possible to just switch providers. Aren't people locked in with a contract?
Yes, they are usually, but even within the contracts there are ways of cancelling and changing provider.
There's also a lot of talk in the media about how many contracts demand 3-month notice periods. People often don't realise that, and they're furious when they have to wait and pay for 3 further months.
Yes, I know someone in that position. They're actually leaving the country, and they have to continue paying their communications bill for 2 months, when they're not even in the country or living at the address that the contract deals with.
Well, we should get some good feedback and answers on that area.
So, my next area is the transparency of tariff information. Again, this is a topical area in the communications industry.
That's right. There were some big stories in the media recently. The government has clamped down on companies not disclosing this.
I read a story last week about a family that sued their phone provider for not giving the proper information. The family won, and it seems the government has finally woken up about this matter and will do something about it.
Why is it so important?
It's because companies want people to choose the package that gives them the most profit. It doesn't matter to them that people don't get the deal that makes the most sense for them. Salespeople just give customers a limited number of options, and customers can't find the full information anywhere else.
That's awful. I can't believe they can get away with that nowadays.
I know. Fortunately, things are getting better, though.
So, the last area is about mobile phone usage.
Will we just be looking at how often people use their mobile phones?
Not so much that. We'll be more interested in how happy customers are with their signal reception.
That's a good topic too. I thought that we had good coverage in this country, but then I heard from some foreign student friends of mine that it's terrible here and that their countries are much better.
That's right. We think it's okay here, as we're used to nothing different.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
So next we have to decide when and where to do our survey.
I think the best thing would be to go after lectures on Wednesday morning. We'd get the afternoon shoppers and we get it all done before dinner.
The problem with that is we'd only get people free on a weekday afternoon. There would be a lot of unemployed people and that would influence the results. On a Saturday afternoon, we'd get a lot more people and a better cross-section of society.
I don't really want to lose my Saturday, though.
Nor do I. I want to go to the football. Can't we do Friday afternoon? There'll be lots of people around off work early then.
Well, that would be better than Wednesday, but I think Rachel's right. Nobody wants to work at weekends. But if we want to do a good job with this survey, then we should make some sacrifices.
OK.
Yes, I suppose the football can wait.
Now, are we sure that the town centre is the best place to conduct our survey? What do you think, Rachel?
Well, it's the place where we'd find the most people. Also, we'd probably find the best cross-section of society there.
The trouble as I see it is that some people won't want to be stopped to answer our questions. You know what it's like.
That's true. But that will be the same wherever we go. The other places where we'd find lots of people could be worse. In train and bus stations, people would be busy. I think Rachel's idea about the town centre is best.
What about in the central shopping mall?
Again, maybe there would be too many of a certain type of people.
OK, I'm fine with Rachel's idea.
Me too, I'm happy.
Finally, we need to analyse the information as fast as possible. Why don't you all come round to my place the next day and we can collate everything and do some statistical analysis? Can you make that, Lance?
I can't after 3 o'clock. I have to be with my family then. I could come before that or in the evening.
How about you, Rachel?
That should be no problem for me, as I'm free all day. So just let me know when. What about you, Martin?
It might be a problem for me, I'm afraid. I can come, but not in the evening. I've got tickets to the cinema.
Let's meet at midday then. We should be able to get everything done in a couple of hours so Lance can get away.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a talk on seasonal affective disorder. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
In the past few years, a new condition has been identified and given a name, SAD, short for Seasonal Affective Disorder. This is now recognized as a distinct kind of clinical depression. where people become depressed at the onset of winter, accompanied by a craving for sweet things, causing weight gain. Each spring and summer would then bring on almost maniacal highs and feelings of boundless energy and happiness. Experiments to combat this depression showed that increased exposure to bright light in humans could suppress their production of a darkness-related hormone called melatonin. The light needed to induce this change was about 2,000 lux, or about 4 times brighter than ordinary household lighting. It was then calculated that if bright light could suppress melatonin secretion, then it might have other effects on the brain, including the reversal of symptoms of depression. While melatonin's precise role in SAD has not been pinned down, the theory led to effective treatment. Not surprisingly, SAD affects more people where winter nights are longer and days shorter. In the UK, an estimated 500,000 adults develop full-blown SAD in winter, and twice this number suffer the milder condition called subsyndromal SAD. About 80% of sufferers improve when given light therapy, and improvement usually comes within 2 to 4 days. Scientists are still unsure why winter depression happens, but more than a decade of research has turned up some surprising findings. Nearly 80% of SAD victims are women. Researchers are uncertain why this is so. SAD can affect people at any age, but typically it begins around the age of 20 and becomes less common between 40 and 50. SAD is comparatively rare in children and adolescents, but so far researchers have been unable to come up with a logical reason for this. As many as half of SAD sufferers have at least one family member with depressive illness, suggesting that the depression has a genetic component. Some patients experience shifts in their body clocks when they're depressed in winter. They are morning people at one time of the year and become evening people at another. What is the underlying difference between SAD sufferers and others? A clue can be found in carbohydrate craving, a common symptom. People often become obsessed with chocolate, for example. Carbohydrates alter brain chemistry by increasing the level of a soothing chemical called serotonin, a neurotransmitter that carries signals between brain cells. SAD sufferers crave carbohydrates because they may need serotonin to lift their mood. This craving can be intense, in fact, an addiction. It may be that the serotonin system of the brain has problems regulating itself during the winter. Some SAD sufferers respond well to the drug Prozac, thought to influence the brain's serotonin-using system. Other brain chemicals and hormones probably play a role in winter depression. Another neurotransmitter, dopamine, for example, may be inadequate in certain cases. Researchers hope to uncover clues to SAD's secret by probing similarities between SAD and hibernation. Though no valid link between the two has been established, some SAD patients say they feel like hibernating animals. SAD sufferers tend to put on fat in autumn and early winter, roughly the time when such hibernators as bears and squirrels do.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.